Hello everyone and welcome back to The Negative. In this video, I wanted to do a comparison between HC-110 and Rodinal. I normally prefer Rodinal, but I wanted to compare the two side by side to see if there was any really big difference. I'll be using the Kodak chart of their developers once again to do the comparison. And interestingly, you might want to pause this, but if you look at the developers, it kind of looks like Kodak HC-110 is the worst one out of their lineup as far as all the attributes go. I've never actually had a bad negative from HC-110 though. It gets the job done, so it's perfectly fine. This is the scene that I shot. It's by no means museum worthy, but it was something easy that I could set up to make the comparison between the two. Right off the bat, the first thing I noticed is that side by side, they actually don't look too different from each other. I would say the main difference that I noticed is the shadow detail. The Rodinal does have better shadow detail, and you could tell mainly the overall image is a little bit lighter with the Rodinal, which is on the left side. But you can mainly notice in the shadow on the left side of the plate, the shadow detail is lighter on the Rodinal image on the left. And you can see the HC-110, the shadows came up a bit darker. If we look a little bit closer, you can see it's not a landslide, but there's definitely a noticeable difference between the two developers with the shadow detail. Next thing we'll look at is the grain. I think probably if you've heard anything about Rodinal, it's probably that it makes your film really gritty or grainy. And side by side, I think it's quite obviously the grain is larger on the left side with the Rodinal, but overall I don't think it's terrible. I think it looks okay still. With this comparison, I'm trying to be as objective as possible. I basically just wanted to see the characteristics between the two, not really say one's better or worse than the other. Okay, next thing we're looking at the sharpness, and I stared at these two for quite a while, and it's definitely not night and day again. I think side by side it's kind of hard to pick the difference between the two. My instincts want to tell me that the Rodinal is sharper, but yeah, it's a little hard to tell the difference. I think maybe the Rodinal on the left is a little bit sharper, but it could be just the focus. It could be slightly different. It's hard to say. All right, that's pretty much it for this comparison. I basically just wanted to see the difference between the two and see if there really was a huge difference, which in my findings, I think there's not a huge difference. I think it all comes down to preference. Now, both are liquid concentrates. I think there's not a whole lot of difference between the two. If you guys found this video to be helpful or if you got value out of it, please hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not yet, and we'll see you guys next time on The Negative.